Level 1. Junior Resident. You are 19 years old when 3 patients enter medical, and the monitor detects 4 heartbeats. 3 gurneys roll through the decontamination doors. A security officer with a cracked visor. A researcher who cannot remember his own name. A containment technician repeating the same sentence. Something followed us. Your supervisor pushes a scanner into your hand. Red, yellow, or black. 90 seconds. You look at the central monitor. 4 heartbeats. 3 patients. The emergency door seal behind you. The security officer struggles to breathe. The researcher keeps pulling at his identification bracelet. The technician grips your sleeve. It is inside one of us. You begin triage. The technician has 1 pulse. Fast, but stable. Yellow tag. The researcher has 1 pulse, but his fingerprints belong to a Foundation employee listed as deceased 6 years ago. You mark him red. The security officer's scanner shows 2 rhythms. 1 human, 1 slower. Perfectly regular. The officer sees your expression. What is it? You do not answer. The second heartbeat moves closer to the first. Your tablet opens an emergency protocol. Unidentified, internal biological activity. Do not attempt removal. Do not transfer patient through standard medical systems. 40 seconds remain. The officer reaches toward you. I can't breathe. You can send him into surgery. You can isolate him. Or you can assume the monitor is malfunctioning and begin treatment here. Your supervisor does not help. This is your decision. You trigger the isolation barrier. Transparent shutters drop around the officer's gurney. He begins shouting. The second heartbeat disappears. Then the researcher's monitor shows 2. Whatever it is, has moved without crossing the room. Disconnect every lead, you order. A nurse hesitates. We'll lose vitals. That is what it wants us to follow. You remove the cables one by one. The 4th heartbeat jumps from monitor to monitor, traveling through the electrical system and imitating patients' vital signs. It is not inside anyone. It is inside medical. You switch the ward to manual examination. Hands on pulse points. Eyes on breathing. No automated readings. The false heartbeat continues moving until your supervisor isolates the diagnostic network from the rest of Site 19. The lights flicker. The 4th rhythm stops. All 3 patients survive. The researcher's fingerprints return to normal after his identity stabilizes. The technician finally stops repeating herself. The security officer looks at you through the glass. You thought I was infected. I thought the machine wanted me to treat you first. He does not thank you. He does not need to. Your supervisor replaces the provisional badge on your coat. Junior resident becomes resident candidate. You notice the number that did not belong, he says. Your approved phone vibrates. Mom, you silence it. Before you can complete the incident report, another alert appears. Operating room 2. Patient conscious under full anesthesia. Patient predicting staph injuries. Your supervisor hands you a blue surgical jacket. Next time, you make the diagnosis. Level 2. Resident. You are 23 when a patient wakes during surgery and tells you the nurse will collapse in 12 seconds. The patient's eyes open. He should not be conscious. The anesthesia line is functioning. Neural activity is suppressed. His heart rate is stable. He turns toward the nurse. 12. The nurse reaches for an emergency sedative. 11. You tell her to step away from the table. 10. She hesitates. At 7, you pull her backward. At 1, the overhead surgical lamp detaches and crashes where she had been standing. Nobody moves. The patient closes his eyes. Next one is harder. The operating room doors lock automatically. Your task is no longer finishing surgery. You must determine whether the patient predicts accidents, causes them, or is manipulating the room. You open his recovery report. He was found inside a containment chamber where every clock ran backward for 6 minutes. No physical injuries. No known precognitive history. One note is highlighted. Patient requested medical staff by roll before arrival. He knew a resident would be in this room. The patient opens his eyes again. The doctor beside the monitor has 30 seconds. Everyone looks at you. You do not move. 29. Your monitor begins alarming. It shows your patient's blood pressure falling. The surgical team prepares medication. The patient smiles. 25. If you follow the monitor, you reinforce his prediction. If you ignore it and the reading is real, he dies. Your supervisor speaks through the observation room intercom. Do not let the patient become the most trusted instrument in the room. You examine the physical signs. Skin tone normal. Pulse steady beneath your fingers. Respiration unchanged. The arterial waveform does not match the body. The machine is lying. You disconnect the blood pressure line. The alarm stops. The countdown reaches 0. Nothing happened. The patient looks disappointed. Now you understand. The first accident was real. It earned your trust. The second warning uses compromised medical equipment to train the team into obeying him. You order every automated device disconnected. The nurses switch to manual measurements. The patient continues making predictions. A tray will fall. A nurse will faint. The oxygen system will fail. You ignore the words and treat the body in front of you. Without the machines, the manipulation loses control. The procedure finishes successfully. When the patient is stable, security prepares to return him to containment. He looks directly at you. You'll listen next time, only if the evidence does. Afterward, your supervisor reviews the footage. Why did you move the nurse? The first warning was accurate. And the second? A test. For whom? For the people holding the instrument. You write a new protocol. Anomalous patient statements must not replace independent clinical assessment. That evening, you finally return your mother's call. She asks why you always sound tired. Hospital work. You said government records. You watch security wheel the patient away. Departments change. Before she can ask more, your pager activates. Humanoid containment. Patient refusing food and sleep. Claims reflections are impersonating medical staff. Your badge updates. Senior resident access. Granted. The message beneath it says, the patient requested you specifically. Level 3. Senior resident. You are 28 when a patient asks why your reflection remains beside him after you step away from the mirror. You stop moving. The observation room contains one table, 2 chairs, and a reinforced mirror covering the far wall. You take another step left. Your reflection does not follow. It remains behind the patient, smiling. The humanoid patient has refused food for 4 days and sleep for 6. Security reports aggression. Psychiatry reports paranoid fixation. The patient calls it survival. Do not look directly at the glass. He whispered. You keep your eyes on his chart. Why? Because it is learning which one of us you trust. Your earpiece activates. A containment specialist watches from outside. No anomalous readings. Continue examination. Your reflection lifts one finger to its lips. You close the privacy shutter. The patient exhales. Your task is to determine whether this is psychosis or a containment event. Classify the patient as delusional, and sedation begins immediately. Classify the mirror as anomalous, and the entire medical wing enters lockdown. You start the examination. Name, location, date, memory sequence. He answers everything correctly, then gives tomorrow's date. You correct him. He shakes his head. You lose a day every time they open the shutter. You open his previous treatment record. 6 doctors evaluated him. Each diagnosed severe paranoia. Each later reported between 11 and 14 hours of missing memory. The gaps are listed as exhaustion. 6 different doctors. The same explanation. You request the doctor's biometric logs. Access restricted. You request quarantine. Containment denies it. No confirmed anomaly. The patient watches you. This is the part where being wrong is cheaper than closing the wing. You override the room under medical emergency authority. Cover every reflective surface. Security object. Research demands continued observation. Your supervisor asks if fatigue is affecting your judgment. Then a nurse in the corridor stops walking. Her reflection continues moving inside the polished cabinet door. The quarantine order is approved immediately. Now you command the response. Blackout sheets over windows. Screens. Turned toward walls. Manual equipment only. Memory checks every 10 minutes. No mirrors. No exposed metal. No reflective glass. The anomaly moves through the ward, copying staff who look toward reflective surfaces. It speaks using their voices. It asks nurses to remove the coverings. It tells security the patient is attacking. You keep the team focused on actions, not appearances. Eventually, you redirect every remaining reflection toward an empty glass-lined chamber. The anomaly follows the last visible image inside. The chamber seals. The patient accepts food for the first time in days. Before security returns him to containment, he looks at you. Do you believe me now? You check the locked chamber. I believe what happened. He almost laughs. That is what doctors say when sorry is not available on the form. The next morning, 6 staff members report identical memory gaps. You begin collecting blood sample. One sample returns an impossible result. The cells belong to a person pronounced dead 23 hours ago. That same person is sitting outside your office, alive, waiting for you to explain the test. Your supervisor places a new badge on the desk. Chief Resident. Medical has 4 versions of the same patient. He says, you decide which one is real. Level 4. Chief Resident. You are 33 when 4 identical patients wake in separate rooms and all claim to be the original. Each has the same face, the same fingerprints, the same memories, the same scar beneath the left eye. Every biometric scan passes. The body camera footage does not. At 14:06, one medical officer enters a breached corridor. At 14:09, the camera loses signal. At 14:11, 4 copies leave. Security separates them immediately. Research requests controlled testing. Medical requests identity evaluation. The site director wants 3 classified as anomalous duplicates before the end of the hour. As chief resident, you coordinate the entire assessment. You assign 1 team to memory testing, 1 to cellular analysis, 1 to neurological monitoring. No team shares results until you compare them centrally. The first patient remembers entering the corridor. The second remembers hearing a voice behind him. The third remembers seeing the containment door open. The fourth remembers dying. Then all 4 describe the same last 10 seconds, word for word. Your laboratory calls. Every sample is biologically unstable. The cells die and regenerate every 47 seconds. But the cycle does not happen in all 4 bodies at once. It begins in patient 1, then moves to 2, then 3, then 4. Each body remains alive because the others carry part of the cycle. The 4 people are not separate duplicates. They are one distributed biological system. Security does not accept that. They are unauthorized copies. They are medically dependent. Research sounds almost excited. Then separation testing may reveal which body holds the original pattern. The 4th patient hears the conversation through the intercom. Original? All 4 heart rates rise simultaneously. The site director gives you 10 minutes. Select one for treatment. The other 3 move to containment disposal. You look at the 4 live feeds. Each patient is frightened. Each believes they are the person who entered the corridor. Each feels pain when another is touched. You order synchronized treatment for all 4. The site director denies it. Medical does not determine object classification. No, medical determines whether the people in those rooms are patients. You transmit the linked cell evidence to the ethics committee and place all 4 under emergency care status. Security cannot act while the appeal remains open. The site director starts the countdown anyway. 10 minutes. Your teams connect the patients to a shared treatment system. Medication enters patient 1. All 4 stabilize. At the 3-minute mark, patient 3 collapses. Patient 2's monitor drops at the same time. You adjust dosage across all 4 bodies. The cycle redistributes. The patients recover together. The countdown reaches 0. The ethics committee response appears. Continued medical status authorized. The site director disconnects from the call. All 4 patients speak through their intercoms at once. Thank you. Nobody in the command room knows whether 1 person spoke or 4. Your decision creates a new medical classification, distributed personhood, under anomalous continuity. It also places your name on several review lists. That evening, your mother sends a photograph of dinner. An empty chair waits beside her. You type a reply. A site alarm interrupts. Multiple casualties inbound. 26 exposed. Medical systems compromised. When you reach the emergency ward, every monitor shows a flat line. All 26 patients are still talking. Your badge updates again. Fellow, anomalous medicine. Level 5. Fellow, you are 37 when every monitor says the patients are dead, and every patient insists they feel fine. 26 people arrive from the same containment breach. Researchers, guards, 2 MTF operators, 1 Class D transported under emergency authorization. Their monitors show no pulse, no respiration, no neural activity. Their bodies disagree. They speak, move, answer questions. 1 asks for coffee. A nurse reaches toward the machine. Nothing enters or leaves the ward. You order. The decontamination doors lock. You begin examining the patients manually. Pulse beneath the skin. Breathing visible. Pupil response, normal. The machines display death because the machines have been affected. Then a nurse attaches herself to an unused monitor. It shows a flat line. She freezes. I can't feel my heartbeat. You check her pulse. It is strong. She stares at the screen. Her breathing slows. The condition is no longer limited to the original patients. It spreads through belief. The anomaly is using medical authority as a vector. When a trusted monitor declares someone dead, the body begins obeying. You order every diagnostic screen covered. Power to the monitoring system is cut. The ward switches to paper charts and manual instruments. 3 patients collapse as soon as the screens go dark. They believe the machines were keeping them alive. Now the problem works in both directions. Trust the display, and the body shuts down. Remove the display, and the patient believes support has ended. You create a verbal countermeasure. The system is compromised. Physical signs override digital readings. Every nurse repeats it. Every patient repeats it. The ward becomes a room full of people, reminding each other they are alive. Research sends 12 doses of an experimental cognitohazard blocker. 26 patients need treatment. The site director demands priority for high-clearance staff. Security wants the MTF operators treated first. The ethics representative demands medical need. You have 90 seconds. You rank patients by exposure duration, neurological response, and probability of recovery. The first dose goes to the Class D. A Level 4 researcher receives none. The site director opens a private channel. Reverse the order. No, you are risking irreplaceable personnel. I am treating the patients most likely to survive. Your authority does not include strategic value. Neither does the disease. You administer all 12 doses. For the remaining patients, you use repeated manual checks, controlled messaging, and isolation from all automated systems. 24 recover. 2 require long-term care. The Class D survives. The Level 4 researcher survives without the blocker. After the ward stabilizes, the site director demands your review. Instead, Central Medical Command sends a promotion order. Attending physician. Your supervisor looks at the new badge. You have the final diagnosis now. A nurse wheels in a sealed black case. Inside is a vial labeled experimental regenerative agent. The transfer request says one patient needs it. Security says the patient is an SCP. Research says the patient is equipment. The patient says it is dying. Level 6. Attending physician. You are 42 when security orders you to stop treating a patient because the patient is technically contained property. The humanoid entity lies inside a reinforced medical chamber. Its body is failing after years of Foundation testing. The heart rhythm is unstable. Organ function is declining. The regenerative vial beside you may reverse the damage. There is only one dose. Research wants it preserved for future experimentation. Security wants the chamber closed until the patient expires. The patient wants pain relief. As the attending physician, the final medical decision is yours. You enter through the airlock. The patient opens its eyes. Are you here to fix me? I am here to determine what treatment is possible. That means no. You begin the examination. The entity's biology does not follow one stable pattern. Human tissue becomes plant tissue. Plant tissue becomes mineral. Mineral becomes something your scanner cannot classify. The regenerative agent was designed for anomalous systems like this, but the file includes a warning. May restore previous biological states. May reverse containment-induced modifications. Research joins the call. If administered, it may restore capabilities removed during initial containment. Security responds immediately. Treatment denied. You continue reading. The patient's current failure is not natural. It comes from repeated suppression procedures used to keep those capabilities inactive. The Foundation created the condition now being used to justify withholding treatment. You request a controlled dose. Denied. You request transfer to surgical containment. Denied. The patient watches the speakers in the ceiling. They are waiting for me to become easier to store. The heart rhythm drops again. You have 6 minutes. You propose combining the regenerative agent with temporary reality stabilization, allowing treatment while limiting restored abilities. Research says the data is insufficient. Security says the risk is unacceptable. You prepare the procedure anyway. Attending, the site director warns, you are exceeding medical authority. No, I am using it. Your team activates the stabilizer. You administer half the vial. The patient's heart stops. Security prepares chamber termination measures. You order them to wait. 5 seconds. 10. The monitor remains flat. Then the rhythm returns. Different. Stronger. The patient's body stabilizes into one consistent form, but the chamber walls begin vibrating. The treatment has restored something. The patient looks at the containment window. Security raises weapons. You step between them and the glass. Can you control it? The patient closes its eyes. The vibration stops. Yes. Research immediately requests transfer for testing. You deny it for 72 hours under post-treatment protection. The patient looks at you. Why? Because you are still under my care. Your decision keeps the patient alive. It also proves a contained anomaly can cooperate when treated as a patient instead of an object. Central Medical Command adopts the procedure under strict review. Your mother calls later that night. You answer. She asks whether you are ever coming home. Before you can respond, every alarm in Site 19 activates. Airborne exposure. Detected. Medical Department head required. Your badge changes before the call ends. Level 7. Department head. You are 47 when an airborne medical anomaly spreads through Site 19, and every patient begins remembering injuries they never received. The first guard arrives, holding his shoulder. There was an explosion. No explosion occurred. The second patient insists she lost 2 fingers during a breach. Her hand is intact. The third begins experiencing pain from a surgery listed in another employee's medical file. Within 15 minutes, 37 people report symptoms belonging to other patients. The anomaly is transferring medical history through the ventilation system. Not disease, not injury. Records. The site director orders immediate evacuation. You deny it. If they leave, the condition spreads beyond the site. Then isolate medical. It is already in 3 wings. As department head, every medical team now waits for your command. You divide the site into zones. Green. No false medical memories. Yellow. Symptoms without physical change. Red. Bodies beginning to reproduce remembered injuries. The record system is the common link. Every affected person recently accessed an electronic medical file. You order the entire Foundation medical network disconnected from Site 19. Central Command objects. The site depends on remote diagnostic support. You cut the connection anyway. The symptoms continue. That means the anomaly is no longer inside the database. It has moved into people. One doctor suddenly remembers treating SCP-096 exposure and begins demanding visual quarantine. Another remembers a containment injury involving SCP-173. And refuses to blink. Their bodies begin following the memories. You cannot treat every false condition separately. You need to identify which memories belong to each person. Your team switched to pre-employment records, childhood scars, dental imaging, and physical markers that existed before Foundation service. The anomaly can copy medical files. It cannot copy personal history not stored in the system. You create identity stations throughout the site. Each employee must prove which body is theirs. Old photographs, handwritten records, family details, anything the Foundation database never collected. Your own station asks for a civilian contact. You have one approved number, your mother. You call her from the command room. She answers after several rings. I need you to tell me something about when I was a child. Silence. Then she describes a scar on your knee from falling outside your home. You look down. The scar is still there. Your false symptoms disappear. The information becomes part of the countermeasure, personal memory anchor. The site stabilizes zone by zone. The outbreak ends without evacuation. Afterward, your mother asks why you needed the scar. You look at the disconnected medical network. Work problem. She laughs once. You always say that. Central Command sends the final review. Your response contained a site-wide medical anomaly and protected global record. The promotion order fills the screen. Medical Director. Beneath it, waits a more urgent message. 7 Foundation sites. Request emergency treatment. Available doses. 3. 1 request marked 05. Priority. Level 8. Medical Director. You are 53. When 7 sites request the final 3 doses of a treatment that may restore more than life. The first request comes from a site with 42 personnel exposed to an airborne anomalous infection. The second comes from an MTF unit whose bodies are rejecting their own memories. The third comes from a humanoid SCP entering terminal biological failure. The fourth is marked 05 priority. No patient name, no diagnosis, only an order. Allocate 1 dose. Your command room displays 7 live medical feeds. 3 vials sit inside a locked case. Known effect, restores damaged biological function. Known risk, may restore memories, identities, or anomalous traits deliberately removed by the Foundation. 1 dose can save a ward, or return something containment erased for a reason. The 05 channel open. Confirm allocation. You request the diagnosis. Denied. You request expected outcome. Denied. You request confirmation that the patient is human. The channel goes silent. Your staff look at you. Nobody says what the silence means. You allocate the first vial to the infected site. The dose is aerosolized inside the sealed ward. Exposure markers begin falling across 42 patients. The second vial goes to the MTF unit. Their identities are collapsing because shared operational memories no longer match their bodies. The treatment restores stable boundary. 1 vial remains. The humanoid patient has 18 minutes. The 05 request expires in 4. A secure warning appears. Failure to comply will result in immediate review. Your deputy lowers her voice. We cannot deny the council. We can deny a medical order without medical information. The humanoid patient appears on the feed, conscious, weak. It asks the attending physician 1 question. Will someone stay if I die? The 05 timer reaches 2 minutes. You request the classified patient's vital signs. Denied. You request proof that the dose is medically necessary. Denied. You allocate the final vial to the humanoid ward. The 05 timer reaches 0. Your clearance disappears. The command room doors lock. Every terminal turns black. For 6 seconds, nobody breathes. Then emergency continuity systems restore the medical network. The infected site reports 42 stabilized patients. The MTF team reports restored identity. The humanoid patient opens its eyes. Its first question is whether the physician remained beside it. A final 05 file appears. Classified patient status. Treatment acquired through alternate channel. The dose was never the only option. The order was a test of obedience. You do not know whether you failed it or passed something more important. Your clearance returns without explanation. Every decision from your career appears across the screens. The 4th heartbeat, the predictive patient, the reflection, the 4 connected bodies, the false death monitor, the contained patient, the medical history outbreak. Every case asks the same question. When a body becomes anomalous, does it stop being a patient? A live feed opens from Site 19. A 19-year-old junior resident stands beside 3 incoming gurneys. The monitor detects 4 heartbeats. The young doctor looks toward the supervisor. There are only 3 patients. Your hand rests over the intercom button. You remember asking the same question. You press it. I know. The decontamination doors lock behind them.